It's my first time in this social event, and I find good, man. Thank you.
Really fun, tons of women. It's no way you can't pick out one or two people that you really want to just get to know a little bit more.
Yeah. But how did you like the evening so far?
Well, we have a good time, we have fun, participate in the contest, also know another people. It was cool.
Did you win? No, next time.
I've had 3 friends that came through the agency. One has been married now for 6 years, one has been married for 4, and the other one has been married for about a year and 7 months. All 3 highly recommended coming on a tour. They highly recommend it to stop communicating through email with different profiles. They said, you know, it's just completely different. You have to go down there, and once you go down there, you'll see what I'm talking about. You get to learn about different culture, different people. Things are completely different here than what I had expected. All the women are really beautiful, and you go to them and you might say something such as, hello, how are you doing? And instead of getting what you would get in the U.S., you know, they're very open, especially being a foreigner. They love our accents, which I don't think I have an accent, but they're like, whoa, you know, where are you from? I used to think, you know, oh, the reason they're talking to me is they just want to come to the U.S., but unfortunately, that is not the case. They don't want to leave their mother and father, their culture. They love their culture. They love to dance. So I found out a lot. So just by coming on the tour, compared to just looking at pictures, you see the difference. My 3 friends that have marriages, to this day, they're all happy.
Excellent.
Yeah?
Absolutely breathtaking.
All the goods.
Friendly. Something I've never experienced before, and it's absolutely great. I love it. I'm very glad to be here.
Hello guys, my name
All right, gentlemen, welcome to a Foreign Affairs webinar, Monday night webinar. I hope you all survived the Valentine's Day weekend. That is behind us now. So for some of us, that's a good thing, depending on how much you like Valentine's Day. But welcome here tonight. Have a great show for you. We're going to be talking about some very interesting things, all things having to do with international dating, international romance, anything having to do with that. That's what we're here for tonight. This is your opportunity to ask myself questions. And by the way, my name is John Adams. I'm one of the co-founders of A Foreign Affair. I was lucky enough to meet my wife in St. Petersburg, Russia, almost 24 years ago now. It'll be 24 years in July. We are getting to celebrate this week, actually, is our 22nd year anniversary of our marriage. So cool. I'm really looking forward to doing that with Tanya this week and celebrating that event. So guys, this is your opportunity to ask any questions that you have. You're stuck with me again this week because with COVID, we don't have Dina or Anna. Although the rumor is that Anna's coming back next week. So we may see her in the chair here next week, which is wonderful because she's much easier on the eyes than me. I understand. And I would love to have her with us on the show. So I'm thinking that's going to happen next Monday night. But tonight, we are going to be talking a little bit about motivations. Motivations of the men, motivations of the women, and what motivated you to take an interest in dating foreign women. Obviously, if you're listening to this right now, there must be some interest you have in dating foreign women, and hopefully you are going to explore that by going over and actually meeting them in person instead of just being a keyboard Romeo and writing letters or going on other sites and doing chat or doing all that kind of stuff. So hopefully we'll have you go over on one of the tours. And I do want to give a shout out to Maria and Patricio and the whole staff down in Colombia because they just concluded 2 separate tours over the last 2 weeks. One that started in Barranquilla, Colombia, and the one that just ended in Cartagena, Colombia. So, hey, congratulations. Those 2 are the first tours that we've done since last March. Actually, about the middle of March in the Philippines was the last tour that we did. And this marks a new beginning, a new start, 2021. We're doing tours again. Look out. And we have some coming up, some more in Latin America here in March. We have one going to Costa Rica. Well, first I think we're going to Peru in early March, and then we have one going to Costa Rica right after that. And then I think we have one actually going back to Colombia right after that. So guys, you can get yourself to Latin America in March. For some of you guys who are living in Houston or some of those other states a little bit west of here, it's a little cold right now, isn't it? You're dealing with all kinds of record-setting cold and snow and all kinds of things. Well, just take a trip to Colombia and it's nice and warm. You can sit on a beach and meet all these wonderful, beautiful women. So not a bad idea to escape the winter blues. However, we also have a tour going to the Ukraine. We're very confident and hopeful that that's going to go in April. So we have 2, actually, one to Kyiv, Kharkov, and then following that will be Dnipro, Zaporozhye. So those tours are scheduled to go, and if everything stays status quo as it is now, we should definitely be able to conduct those tours. So yeah, lots and lots of stuff, lots and lots of opportunity, but it's always up to you. Nothing's going to happen unless you make it happen. And that's why we do these shows, to give you as much information as possible. And I do want to talk a little bit about the motivations of the men and the women that use this site. And you can help me on the man's side by letting me know what your motivations are. Why are you looking halfway around the world for your soulmate? And guess what, guys? When you go over and you're in a room like this and you're talking to the women, they're going to ask you that very question. They're going to want to know why you're there. I mean, why couldn't you find a woman in the United States or in Canada or in Australia or wherever you're coming from? Why is it that you had to go halfway around the world to try to find someone? What prompted you to do that? Because as we know, the majority of men are never going to do that, right? They're going to just keep doing the same things that they're doing and, the tried and the true and go that route, even though we have well over a 50% divorce rate in this country. They don't think to change that. They don't think that, there might be another option. There might be another way. No, they just keep doing the same stuff. You guys are the exception to that. You're actually at least exploring the idea of trying something new, trying something different, seeing if you can get a better result. So I applaud you for that because it certainly worked for me, or I wouldn't be celebrating my 22nd year anniversary with my wife this week. So I think that there's all kinds of opportunity out there, and I've been saying that for the last 26 years. All right, I'm going to get into some of your questions, so we'll take your questions. When you ask a question, please let us know what your motivation is for being here. All right, Michael says beautiful women. Okay, enough said. That's it, Kirk, let's just shut down the show. We're done. Beautiful women, that's the reason we go, and You're about right, actually. I mean, when you look, isn't it amazing? I mean, just the beauty and the femininity and the way the women carry themselves and dress, and it's just a different culture. It's not to say there's not beautiful feminine women in the United States. We don't bash women here at all, but it is a different culture, and women do carry themselves differently. And I know that's not politically correct to say, and there's detractors that will say, "Oh my God, how can you say that, John? You're terrible." No, I'm not. I'm just being observant. I'm just being factful and truthful in my observations of what I've noticed when I've traveled to Eastern Europe, when I've traveled to Asia or Latin America, and I see the way the women present themselves, the way they dress, the way that the care that they take in to their self and to the difference in the culture. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And if you actually take a little bit of time to research it, you'll see what I'm talking about. So I'm sorry if it offends anyone. And again, it's not meant to be, because there's wonderful, wonderful women here in the U.S. or in Canada or in Great Britain or Australia or places where men that use our service come from. Absolutely there are. And many of the men that use our service will end up marrying a woman in their own country and from their own country. This is just another option, another possibility to explore. And sometimes when men take advantage of this option, they, what's the word I'm looking for here? They enlarge, or they open up their eyes to what all the opportunities are. There's a better way to say that, but I haven't gotten into this yet, and I haven't had enough Mountain Dew. So I'm going to get to your questions now. Robert says, will the Ukraine tours go as scheduled? I'm keeping my fingers crossed, Robert, like we just said. Right now, we do believe that we can do them given the current protocol. So if all things stay as they are right now, yes, I do believe that they're going to go as scheduled. But we're only in February, mid-February. These aren't going to go till about mid-April. So a lot can change. But it seems, dare I say, that things are trending for the better. And I think we're on the back nine of this thing right now. So hopefully that's going to be the case, and we can get back to normal again, get you guys over there interacting with these wonderful women and put that social distancing thing to an end and get you guys together as much as possible. Mauricio has a wonderful question in Spanish, and my Spanish is not so great. I got the hola, buenas noches. Hola, Mauricio. Quería tener my customer communication with one of the, yeah, you know what? I could almost make this out, but you know what? Mauricio, if you want to email this, john@lummy.com, it's real easy. I'll have one of our people translate it so I get it absolutely right, and I will get back with you. I'm sorry. I did take Spanish, but it's a long time ago. All right, Thomas, when will we see footage from the Colombia tour? I don't know. Kirk, what do you people say? When do you think we're going to get some of that footage from the tour that we just concluded? In a couple weeks. Couple of weeks. It takes some time to get it all in, edit it, and get it out. But hopefully, Thomas, within a couple of weeks, we'll have a little bit of footage for you. All right. I'm going to get into some more of your questions here in a minute, but I want to talk a little bit about what I think, at least, about some of the women's motivations and some of the misinformation that's out there, I think, about that. Sometimes people look at the site and are like, oh, wow, it's obvious. These women just want to get to the United States, let's say. They're just trying to get to the U.S. and they're going to marry someone and just to get to the U.S. I've heard that now for 26 years, and I'm really sick of hearing it because it's just based on nothing except maybe fear and misinformation. And rumors and all that stuff. People talk to people, they don't know anything about the site, they haven't done any kind of studies or research or anything like that, and they just make these blind assumptions. And it's a little maddening, to have to deal with that for 26 years. It's funny, when we do seminars, and guys, I really hope that we can start doing the seminars again soon, my wife will get up and talk a little bit sometimes. And, one of the things that she'll say is, she'll say, that some people will say to her sometimes, and people have said this, well, maybe you just came here for a better life. And she'll say, yeah, and what's wrong with that? Why wouldn't I want a better life? Who doesn't want a better life? Go ask any woman in the United States and say, when you get married to whatever man you meet locally or here in the U.S. somewhere, Would you like to have a better life with him? Or would you like to have a worse life? And what do you think the answer is going to be? Oh, yeah, I'm looking for someone who's really going to be terrible. I'm going to have a terrible life. Of course they want to have a better life. Of course, any woman who's going to marry someone who's going to spend the rest of her life with that man, she wants to have a better life. She wants to fall in love. She wants to have all the wonderful things that any normal person would want to have. So what's wrong with having that with someone that maybe isn't from her exact geographic location? Right? And that's what my wife will say. She's like, I didn't marry John just to have a better life. And trust me, guys, Tanya had a lot of options 20-some years ago. And I consider myself lucky that she chose me. But she didn't have to. It's about the connection for many of these women, I believe. Yes, they're motivated to try to find a suitable mate, a suitable spouse who they can fall in love with, who will be dependable, who will be reliable, who will be mature, who will be able to help maintain with the family, to do all those things that they're looking for in a spouse. And in a lot of the places that we go, there is a lack of men that fall into that category. And they are, in some of the cases, like in the Ukraine, the women far outnumber the men. So right there's more women than there are men. And then of the men that are available, many of those don't want the responsibility that it takes to form a really solid marriage and a stable household that you can have and raise children in and those kind of things. So it's not that they're just trying to escape some abject poverty or something like that. If you've ever been to Kiev or Odessa or Kharkov or Dnipro or Zaporozhye or Lugansk or some of these other places, they're beautiful places. Wonderful cities. The lifestyle is fantastic. Actually, the lifestyle is much better than what we enjoy here in a lot of cases, because here we tend to work our butts off, and we don't have a whole lot of leisure time. We just want more and more and more, so we keep working. And when the women come here, they're like, my gosh, I had more leisure time. I had more time with my friends, family, and everything than I do here, because here I'm expected to work, like an American. So it's really ironic, and it's really different. But those are some of the motivations that the women have, I think, when they use this service. Part of it, too, is because it's there. 30 years ago, they really didn't have the easy access to this kind of information and this kind of service to where they could search the world over for a spouse. And so they were pretty much confined, like the men were, to a certain geographic area, right? Unless it was something that was really, really out of the ordinary. That's just simply not the case today any longer. There is no reason why you should look at geography as a constraint when it comes to finding the woman that you want to spend the rest of your life with, nor should they when it comes to finding the man that they want to spend the rest of their life with. Geography shouldn't even be a factor anymore. You should try to find the best person for you, no matter where she is, because, guys, this decision that you're going to make is going to account for 95% of your happiness or sorrow for the rest of your life. I've said that many, many times, and it's true. It really is. Even if you get divorced, God forbid, down the road, it's still going to have some kind of a connection, especially if you have children. So she's still going to be a part of your life in one way or the other. So why wouldn't you search the world over to try to find the best possible match for you? It just seems like common sense to me. But then, you get out into the PC environment and they're like, oh my gosh, how could you do this? Why? No, no, it's not crazy. It's crazy not to do it. Okay, sorry. Going to go off here a little bit. All right, let's see here. Let's see. William says, William says, hi, John. I'm looking forward to starting my new VIP membership this week with Maria. And then we'll be going to Colombia at the end of April. Looking forward to meeting my future significant other. William, Maria and I were just talking about you today, and I sent her some information about you that you were kind enough to send in to us. So congratulations. There's a guy who's taking control of what he's doing. See, we have that applause machine. It's working pretty well. I think they upgraded a little bit. That's nice. He's taking control of his future, and he's going to Colombia, and he's going to work with our staff there, overseen by Maria, and he's going to focus in Colombia. And I think he's going to do very well. I think he's going to be very impressed with how we do it. But William, we want to report back. And hey, whatever it is, I'd love for you to come back on the show and share with us your experience and how it went and how you were treated and all of that. Because I think it's going to be a wonderful thing for you, William. And I'm excited for you. I really am. I mean, I kind of get to participate in a small, I know it sounds weird, okay, but in a small way, I get to live a little bit vicariously through you guys that are in that search still of looking for someone, because I hear all the stories and I try to give some advice. I am very happily married, and that's fine, but I still love to hear about the search, because there's just a lot that goes on with that whole thing, and I think it's very enjoyable if you make it enjoyable. You can make it really stressful and kill yourself over it, or you can have a wonderful, fun time and enjoy that process, because if you do this search right, you only get to do it once, right? And that's it. You're not going to get to do it again, because you're going to find that right person, and you're going to get married, and you're going to live happily ever after, and that's it. That's the way it's supposed to be. And so, have fun during the process. Enjoy it. Date a lot of women and just really enjoy that whole process, because then you're going to move on to a different stage. I say this all the time. If you guys that listen to me a lot, you'll have heard this before, but the biggest complaint I've had about one of our group tours is, John, the biggest complaint I have about this tour is that it worked and I can't do it again. Right? I mean, he met that right person and now he's going to move on to the next stage. But he really enjoyed the process of meeting that person and going through the socials and meeting all the different women and the dating and the interactions and the good dates and the bad dates and everything in between. I mean, it's amazing. It's a little bit like making sausage, right? It's not the prettiest thing to watch sometimes, because there's good, bad, and ugly. It's gonna be, but it should be fun. It should be exciting. And when you have the staff that we have that supports you and walks you through it and helps you, it really is amazing. And William, all I can tell you is that I think you're going to feel like you're part of the family when you go there, even before you go, with all the support you're going to get. Them trying to find your exact match. This is a much more personalized form of matchmaking that we're going to be doing for William in Colombia. And they're going to really get to know him well, and they know many of the women, and they're going to do the best they can to match him with who they feel is going to be the best possible match. And I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be great. So congrats, William. Fantastic. All right. We're going to move on to Dennis. The Philippines remains closed. Is it possible to have the lady that I've been speaking with meet me in Thailand or somewhere else that they can travel at my expense? Yeah, Dennis, we really, really frown on that. And especially in the Philippines, I just don't think that's a great idea. I don't think it's great to have the woman travel to meet you if you've never met her before in a third country. There's safety issues, but even beyond the safety issues, there are the relationship issues to where you've never met before. So you've had letters, let's say, or correspondence. Maybe you've talked on the phone. Maybe you've done Skypes. But all that is much different when you meet. And if you meet in a like a neutral third country like Thailand, let's say, and after a day or two it's just not working out and it's not going the way you thought it was going to go, it can get complicated. And because now she's all the way over there, maybe you're going to stay for a week, but now it's just not working out after a few hours or after a day. And how do you deal with it and what's going on? And I don't know. There's just too much left up to chance, I think, to do that. I don't think that's a good idea for a host of reasons. And so I would definitely, say no. I don't think that's a good thing at all. Wait till the Philippines opens. Go and see her there. She's going to be more comfortable. It's going to be better for you. See how things go. Then if you really develop, a great rapport and trust, and that this relationship is going somewhere and you feel really comfortable, then maybe you take a trip with her at that point, and that's fine. But sight unseen, haven't met her yet, and you're going to ask her and give her money to travel to another country, no, I just do not think that's a good idea. Okay. Right. I'm sorry, guys. Sometimes I'll say things on here that I know you probably don't want to hear. But, I'm trying to give you my best advice that I can. I've been doing this for 26 years. I don't want to just be a yes man. Oh, it's great, go do it. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, That's not what we're about here. We're going to, if we see something that we feel isn't right based on all of our experience, we're going to tell you. And sometimes I've gotten men that have gotten really upset at myself or our staff for telling them that maybe a woman wasn't right for them or whatever. And hey, that's your prerogative. If you want to, kill the messenger, then kill the messenger. But we're going to give you our honest opinion about what we think based on, some good experience that we've had. I mean, why do you want to just reinvent the wheel and make the same mistakes that others have if you could listen to the staff or myself or others that have the experience and save yourself some of that trouble? Okay. Talk. Blue says, good evening all. Good evening, Blue. Don says, what are the restrictions right now over there in Colombia? I want to go, but the restrictions are making this tough. Don, right now in Colombia, the restrictions are not bad at all. I believe it's just a matter of a COVID test on the way there and a COVID test on the way back. You don't have to quarantine when you get there or anything like that. So if you can get a COVID test, I think it's 48 hours before you go, and check with our staff because it changes all the time. So if you're really serious about going, call up and we'll give you the absolute information, most up to date. But last I looked at, I believe it's 48 hours before you go, you get a COVID test. And then before you come back, you get another COVID test. So when you enter into the U.S., they can show that you don't have it as well. So it's really not that bad right now, Don. Like I said, we just did a tour there in Colombia, 2 tours, one in Barranquilla and one in Cartagena, and we had no problems with that. So yeah, I think you're fine there. So Blue, to the answer of our poll question of what motivates you to date foreign women, his answer is, wait a minute, I just lost that. I was having no luck with local dating sites, and the women who would respond were not of the quality I was looking for. I happened to catch an episode or two of a show about fiancés. I won't name it, but yeah. And thought I'd give it a try. I found AFA, and they are the best. Thank you, Blue, and I agree with that. The dating apps. You said dating sites, but most of those dating sites have the apps and all that, and it's funny. There's some really good articles out there now about how some of those really don't want you to meet anyone. They want you to stay, and it's almost like it's designed for you to stay on that as long as possible. There's so much going on, all this stuff happening that, the success, how is success measured? Is it measured in you actually meeting someone and moving forward in a real relationship, or is success measured for them by you staying on the app as long as possible and continuing to pay the monthly fee? And you got to ask yourself that question, okay? With us, if you want to just write letters forever, you can do that, and you're never going to get anywhere as far as a real relationship. And that's why I, for all these years, have been saying you really don't have to write even one letter. You can just go to one of our offices and ask them to start setting you up with dates with women that they think that would be interested in you, or you can give them a list of women that you think you may be interested in, and you start dating these women. You start seeing where the interest is. And that's how you move from online to offline. And I really like to look at us as more of an offline, where you're going over and really trying to interact face-to-face, personally, even in 2021. That's still a thing, yeah. And get to know these women and see. Because guys, when you're first meeting someone and dating, you understand that all the senses are involved. It's not just, listening to her on the phone or through a Skype call and seeing her. I mean, there's so many other senses that are meant to be involved. That's just how we're made, right? And we're physical beings. And so you need that sense of touch, that sense of smell, that all those different senses are the things that help us fall in love, help us see who it really is. Just that simple eye contact. And it's not the same in a Skype or a Zoom call as it is in person. It's just not. So you got to get over there. And I'm telling you to do this. I'm telling you not to write. I'm telling you to go over and meet these women in person. I know some of you feel you have to write some before you go, and I get that, but you really don't. You can go over and you can meet in person, and it's amazing. It really is. I never wrote a single letter, and I'm celebrating my 22nd year anniversary this week. And that was just meeting her at a social without a single letter. All right. Let's see here. But thank you, Blue, for that. I appreciate that. Ryan says, I hope you all are staying warm on this cold February night. Yeah, it's about almost 70 degrees here today. It's going to get down to probably about 55 here. I know. I tease, but it is kind of this. You guys can come back to me in July and August and say, yeah, John, what's the weather like now when it's 180? So that's okay. Nothing's for free, right? Either you pay now or you pay later. And with us, we're enjoying this wonderful weather now. But right around the corner, it's going to be hot as it can be in Phoenix. We are in a desert here. But yeah, the country's getting killed right now with cold weather. I saw that on the news. And so stay warm, people. It's dangerous out there. Be careful. Mark says, hello, John. Answers tonight's poll question. What motivated me to date international women is because I have not found what I want in the women in this country. Okay. I mean, look, Mark, I'm sure there's women in this country that probably have what you want, right? But there's nothing wrong with still looking in this country and also looking elsewhere and looking at different cultures, because there may be some cultures that embody more of what you're looking for than what we have here in the U.S. Culture matters. The way that we're brought up matters, and it's different from country to country to country. It's even different within the United States. If you're brought up in deep South, it's probably going to be a little bit different than if you're brought up in New York City. It's just different culture. Even within our own country, you can't tell me that there's different cultures, right? And so when you go outside of the country, you're going to have even a more diverse culture. And maybe you just mesh better with someone from a diverse culture. I love the fact that Tanya is Russian. She's from a different culture. And, there's some things that just drive me batty, like I can't even mention her birthday is also coming up soon, but no, I better not mention that, because if we talk about it before it happens, terrible, terrible thing, and all this terrible things are going to happen, but that's from her Russian upbringing, her Russian culture. We talked about that on another show about superstitions. And there's other things about Russians that are just different in general. And when I say Russians, okay, every Russian is obviously unique, their own person and different. But there are certain characteristics that are more common in that culture than in other cultures. Okay? So, all right. Let's keep going here. Melvin says, my motivation for dating foreign women was to expand my options. I like that, Melvin. Yes, that's what I've been talking about. That's great. There's a lot of competition here in America for the few available quality women. And you know what? If I turn that sentence around, I could have a woman saying, my motivation for dating foreign men was to expand my options. There's a lot of competition here in the Ukraine for the few available quality men, right? I mean, that's exactly what a lot of the women tell us, exactly what you're saying, only turned around, because they're experiencing the same thing. Why is it, do you think, that we've been so successful for the past 26 years? There's got to be a need for this kind of a service, or we wouldn't be here, and I would not be talking to you tonight about this. So I love what Melvin just said there, because that's so true, and the opposite is true for the women. Yeah. Chris says, for the poll question, after numerous bad experiences, with local women, I want to get out of the box and look elsewhere. I'm seeking more family-oriented, beautiful, faithful, and blending with another culture. I like that too. Don't forget, guys, you can ask a question when you answer the poll question as well. You can combine the two here, because this is also a forum for you to ask questions. But Chris, I love the fact that you put in there about blending of another culture. I've talked about that quite a bit, but to me, that's one thing that we really overlook a lot, is the richness of a blended cultural marriage, because you're sharing everything from your culture, okay, with her, and then she's sharing the best of her culture with you. And that really does enrich your life, and it makes it amazing. And if you can learn the language, I would highly suggest that as well, as something that I'm embarrassed to say I have not done. To the extent that I need to, and that's something that I really do need to work on. But I think that if you can speak their language, that's a wonderful, wonderful gift to give to her and yourself. Just think about that. But other than just the language. I mean, there's so much more that she's going to share with you, her traditions, her food, her friends and family and all of their culture and everything. I mean, there's just so much to it. It's just, it's hard to explain. You know, I sit up here and I pontificate every Monday night when they let me on the show, which I don't know if they're going to once, you know, Dean and Anna get back. I'm sure they're kicking me out again, which is fine. I understand they're much better and easier to look at than I am. But when I am lucky enough to come on and talk to you guys, you know, I talk about all this stuff. And it's hard to really grasp what I'm saying unless you're living it, unless you've really seen it. Maybe you have a friend that's been involved with a foreign woman and you really start to see the differences. But it really is amazing, and it is different. Okay, where am I here? Wage Slave says, women where I live always put career before family. I want to meet a woman who wants to start a family in the near future. That's good. APW says, hello from the cold land of Minnesota. 5 below zero. 5 below zero? That's not cold. Come on. My son went to school in Bemidji, Minnesota. I'm sure you know where that is, not too far from Canada. And I had to go visit him once. I got off that plane. I was driving down the road, I don't know how, because there was ice everywhere. And I looked up at some bank and they had the temperature sign, -40. -40. So -5, I mean, you could almost go swimming. That's not bad. No, -5 is still cold. Don't get me wrong. How much does it cost to attend a one-night event? You know, we do have a social-only option for guys that have a little more experience and don't need the whole tour experience, although I highly recommend the whole tour experience because there's so much more that you get out of it, because the socials are just one aspect of the tour, one vehicle that we use, but there's a lot more involved. But if you do want to just attend one event, one social, then normally it's right around $450 to do that if there's availability. Especially now with this COVID time, we're going to be limiting the number of men that are attending the tours, and the tour-only clients, or excuse me, the tour clients are obviously going to have preference over social-only clients. So if the number of tour clients exceed the limit that we can take, mainly due to the COVID numbers, then we won't be able to take social-only clients at that time. All right. Let's see. Anthony says, John, I was told by Anna that for a Euro club, I should pick right around 40 profiles or so. Should I use the introduction profiles or should I pick from the database? Any reason I should do one, the other, or both? I think you should probably pick from the database, look at the profiles online, do a search, do a broad search first, and then you can narrow that search. If you get, say you do a broad search and you get, 300 profiles, all right, and say you're going to Kiev, so they're in Kiev. Then I would say, okay, let's narrow it down to a little bit more, maybe make that age range, dial that in a little bit more, or dial in smoking, no smoking, or whatever other parameters you want to put in there, and narrow that down so you get it down to, the number that you need. And then you start, even if you're at 100 still, then you start looking at them, and then you do it based on, physical appearance and how attracted you think you're going to be to the women, although you never know till you meet in person, because everyone may look a little different when you meet. But that's about the best way you can go about it. I mean, you can look at the introduction profiles that you get, but those are mainly going to be the matchmakers who thinking that there might be a good connection, but they don't really know any more than you're going to know. So I think you're better off just looking at the database, personally. William says, international women are more engaging. Well, that may be, but again, look, there's engaging women here in the U.S. I mean, there are. I look at this as just another option. I really do. I look at what we do as not either or. Well, I'm going to go and that's it. No, I mean, there's wonderful women here. And I think what this does for you, though, when you go over and you experience this, is it does open your eyes to the opportunities that are there, and it will change the way you look at dating, and it will change the way you look at domestic dating, because when you come back here, you're going to know what's over there now. And now you're going to be a little more confident, a little more, okay, I'm not so worried about what's here because I know that I'm going to take another trip in, another month or two, and I'm going to have the opportunity to meet all these wonderful women again. And I've seen that. I'm telling you guys, I swear I've seen that phenomenon where a guy will go on our tour and then he'll call me a couple weeks after he gets back. He's like, John, the strangest thing is going on. I'm starting to get a lot more interest from the women at work or from the women at the gym or whatever than I ever did before. And I'm not even trying anymore. I kind of stopped trying because I'm more interested in the women in the Ukraine or in China or wherever it was that he's coming from. And I truly believe that the reason for that, and it's not just one guy that's called and told me this, I've heard this numerous times over the years, and I think what it is that the women here will realize that you're not trying so hard anymore, that you're not as interested, and that's making them more interested. Like, well, wait a minute, why isn't he following me around all the time? Why isn't he, giving me roses every other day? Wow, what happened? And all of a sudden they're trying to come back to you to to find out why you're not coming after them as much as you were. It's a really, really strange phenomenon that happens on a subatomic level, I think. But I think it does happen. All right. Tuck, tuck, tuck. Michael says, American women have lost their femininity. All they want to do is compete with men. Foreign women retain and cherish their femininity. How is the scheduled tour in Shenzhen looking? Well, first I would say that, again, when we talk about this, talk in broad classifications, because there are some very feminine women that still live here in the United States, obviously. But it is a different culture. We talk about that competition thing with men. That is more of an American thing than, say, what you would see in other countries like Ukraine or China or Latin America. And when you say that foreign women retain and cherish their femininity, I see that quite often when I go to the foreign countries. When I'm in the Ukraine, you walk down the street, you see it. They relish in it. They do cherish it. It is amazing. Shenzhen, I don't know. Maybe the November one is going to be a possibility, Michael. Not before then, I don't think, though, with China right now. I just don't see it. They're still locked down. Of course, their COVID cases were nowhere near everyone else's, it seems. But they're still closed off to the world as well. Let's see. Casey says, hey, John, should I send a girl that I'm interested in a box of chocolates even though Valentine's Day is over? Would she like it? Yeah, it's kind of hard to go wrong with sending a gift. It doesn't have to be expensive or a big deal, but you send a gift. Hey, I'm thinking about you here, a little box of chocolates. And you also can get a photo of her that way, so you get even a better idea of what she looks like, because that's going to be more of a spontaneous photo. Yeah, I think so. And you do have International Women's Day that's coming up. I hate to say that, guys. I almost feel bad. We just got done with Valentine's Day, but March 8th is Women's Day, which is kind of a big deal in many of the countries that we go to. It's not such a big deal here, which is kind of ironic because it started here. It started in New York as a way to empower women, and then it caught on in the Soviet Union. And now it's more of a day to honor women. And it's not as political as it used to be, but that's coming up March 8th. So, if you want to wait till then to do it, that's fine. Or if you want to just get something out there. I've always found that the best response I've ever gotten with my wife when I give her a present is when it's for no reason. If I come home with flowers on a Thursday or a Friday with no holiday, no nothing, it's just like, here, I'm thinking of you, here's flowers. That gets a much better response than if it's Valentine's Day. Oh, here's flowers. Oh, okay, yeah, well, you were supposed to. There's a, Valentine's Day jail if, you don't do that, right? So same with the birthday. Oh, here's flowers. Well, of course, because it's my birthday. Damn it, you better give me something. But when you have, just a random day and you come home thinking of her and you bring flowers, that's special. And that, I think, makes women feel more special. And I try to do that. As much as I can. I like to have flowers around the house, and it's one of the things I like to do. So, yeah. All right. Bob says, I got to get to this here. You guys have a lot of great questions tonight, so I'm trying to get to everybody. Bob says, my biggest worry is trying to date a girl who is not what she says she is. What I mean is someone not really looking for a long-term relationship leading to marriage. So the question I put to you, John, how do you tell when a girl is really wanting to be married if she found the right guy? Oh, Bob, you'll know. And I know that sounds stupid, right? But you'll know. I mean, okay, I'll put myself into that equation. How did I know when I met Tanya that she wasn't just looking for kind of a romantic fling or something like that, that she was really serious? I mean, I knew. It was just, and again, you don't know this by just letters. You don't know this just by Skype. You need to go over and meet in person. But when you look into that woman's eyes, when you see the way that she looks at you, when you feel the affection that she gives to you, and the things that you're talking about, and you start putting all that together, if you're really being observant and you're not lying to yourself, you'll be able to tell that this woman's for real, that this, she's not asking you for, money every other day, and she's not asking you to take you to the most expensive restaurants, and she's not, just seemingly to just use you as a dating machine ATM type thing. But, and that's obvious to see. But some guys won't see that. They will ignore it. They'll put blinders on and they'll put tape over the blinders, and they just don't want to see it because they're with this woman. They want to be with this woman, so they don't mind having to jump through the hoops that she's demanding. That shouldn't be. When you're in a relationship that the woman wants to be in, that could lead to marriage, it should feel like a tennis match. What do I mean by that? Well, think about a tennis match. What happens? If someone hits the ball, it goes over the net. Then the other person hits the ball, comes back over the net. That's reciprocal, right? It's back and forth, right? That's what you want. That's what you want in a relationship. You should have this kind of tennis match where you're both giving in your own way. Maybe she doesn't have the monetary means that you do, so you give her some maybe presents or things like that, but not expensive, not something she's asking for. And you don't even have to do that. You can give her things that, I never really did that with Tanya. I thought about creative, cool, silly things to do, and I did those things. And then she did creative, silly things for me. And it was back and forth. And it was beautiful. I mean, it really was. And so that's how you know when a woman really, I think, wants a long-term relationship. It's not you having to call all the time, you having to give her money or give her support or do this or do that. I mean, you're not her father. I mean, when those kind of things come up, I always ask the man to ask himself this question: what would she have done if not for you? My mother's having this operation, I need this. Oh, my dog stubbed its toe today, I need this. Oh, this is happening. And I see this sometimes. And not just with our site, with any site, domestic, international, I don't care. What would she have done if not for you? Are you there all of a sudden just to be the ATM? Because that's not where a woman is going to, that to me is not a relationship that's really going to lead to a nice, healthy marriage. But if you can think of it as a tennis match, as it's going back and forth and you're just, returning each other's serve, boom, 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 or each other's volley, that to me is a strong, healthy, cool relationship, and you're both giving in your own way, and you feel that you're giving and you feel like you're receiving as much as you're giving. And I know this all sounds like, well, come on, John, say something that I don't already know, right? This is common sense stuff. But we forget this stuff a lot. And how do I know we forget this stuff a lot? Because this is what I do for 26 years, and I talk to a lot of you guys, and I hear the stories. I'm like, what? But how did you not see that was not going to be good for you? How did you? I mean, because you're in it. Because when you're in the middle of it, it's hard to tell. It really is. All right. Hope that answered your question, Bob. Other than that, you can hook her up to a lie detector and, ask her the questions but I don't think those work very well either. Greg, answer the poll question. Beautiful women, family-oriented, a huge sense of adventure. A huge sense of adventure. Beautiful women, family-oriented. Greg, I love those questions or those answers too, because, not that one, but this one. Love is meant to be an adventure. Can't do that very well. Okay, yes, right there. Love is meant to be an adventure. Huge sense of adventure. Why do you think this box is there? Not just to hide the computer screen. I always look at it that way. This is another really cool thing about going intercultural and dating women from outside the country, is that it is an adventure. Even if you come back without meeting the woman of your dreams, you still come back with an amazing adventure that you'll never forget, stories that you'll be telling to your friends and family for years. Just just going through one of these group tours or even individually and experiencing all the things, like William, who's going to be going to Colombia and working with Maria and staff here pretty soon, the experiences he's going to have just walking around wherever he's going. I'm not sure, is it Medellin or Cartagena, wherever it is, but walking around those different cities and experiencing the restaurants and the people and the random taxi cab driver who takes you on this crazy path. And I could go on and on and on talking about all the amazing adventures that our clients have had over the last 26 years. And, you know, it's all part of that search, you know, that culminates in finding your soulmate. I don't know, it's just hard to go wrong. All right. Paul says Ukrainian women are feminine, American women are feminists. Well, not all. Okay, but yeah, I mean, culture, when you talk about the broad culture. Mauricio, oh, he came back, I think, with English. Thank you, Mauricio. Hello, good evening. That was, buenas noches. I like that. I want to have communication with one of the women I have met on the site. How can I access her personal data? Thank you so much, Mauricio. I appreciate that. I was pretty sure that's what you were asking. The best way to do that is to go and meet her. We'll set up an introduction for you and you can meet her in person. If you don't want to meet her in person, you can communicate through this site. If you want to try to exchange contact information, there are certain laws that prohibit us from doing that unless we jump through a lot of hoops. So you can call. I don't want to give the whole big thing right now about it, but you can call in and talk to us about it, and we can go through that. But my best advice to you is just to go over and meet in person. And many of the women who join our site would rather wait until you meet in person, because that's one of the reasons they join our site, is because they get a lot of support and they go through us, and we are kind of like a buffer or a filter for them. And then when they meet through us, and they feel comfortable and safe. And it is kind of a premium dating site that they feel very comfortable with. So, but that's the best thing to do, is to go over and meet in person, Mauricio, if you can. Okay, I know right now it's a little difficult, but it's still very possible. Okay, I got to get moving faster. You guys are just got so many questions here. Okay, I'm going to go fast now, so I'm going to kind of keep the commentary down so I can get up, because I'm way behind on these questions, and then we're only got a few minutes left here. Edward says, hi, John. How can we determine if a woman we met in Ukraine on the tour wants to move to the U.S.? What are the top 5 things we should look for? For example, she speaks English, she's saving money for her life in the U.S. with me. Are these reasonable to expect from her? Motivation is to meet women from Eastern Europe. Well, things to look for, Edward, would be, first of all, like I just talked about that, reciprocal. Is she really interested in you? Are you seeing that? Are you feeling that? Is she contacting you instead of you contacting her all the time? That's a big sign, right? If she doesn't speak English, or English needs work, is she taking the time to do that? Is she learning English? That's a big sign, because, you know, if she's not at all and she knows she's going to be moving to the U.S., then that's a problem, because she's going to have to speak English when she gets here. Has she told her family about it? Are her family on board? Are they supportive of that? Is she thinking about what she's going to do here? Those kind of things. Those are all really important factors. I'm probably missing some here. But yeah, those to me, saving money is one of it, but you know, sometimes women don't have that much to save. And when they get here, you know, like I said, are they thinking about what they want to do here, or is she going to work? Okay, maybe she's doing some things that can help her prepare herself for that when she gets here. Those kind of things. Ryan, the international women are more worldly and better cultured than the American counterparts, better educated, more family-oriented, better genetics, and ready to date. Yeah, well, you know, there's a lot to be said for what Ryan's saying there. Again, we're comparing large areas here. I like to ready to date. I mean, these women, and that's one of the things that you get with a company like ours, is that we are trying to find the women who are ready to date. Not everybody, let's say in the Ukraine or in Colombia, are ready to date. We had a man that just called us last week who lives in Colombia, has been living there, and he wants to join our tour because he's finding it difficult to find women there on his own, right? So it's not as easy as you think, just popping over to a foreign country and these women are just going to line up like you see in our video. Oh, yes, I want to meet. You know, these women, like I said earlier, join our service because we've been around for 26 years. We have a very good reputation, and they feel comfortable with it. And so that we can go through and talk with them, and so that when you come over, You're not trying to reinvent the wheel and try to find where these women are, because we already have done that for you, and now we're just introducing you to them. So it's not like this is just because you're going to a foreign country, they just kind of there. It's because we've been working at this for all these years and have built up this database and this trust with all these women that when you come over, you can tap into that infrastructure, right? You just, are plugged right into that, and then you get to meet all these women. That is one of the amazing things about using a service like this. And that's why we have men who have moved to countries like this that still call us and use the services. All right. John, what's happening with the China tour? Stephen wants to know. Not much right now. Hopefully November, but still you can't go to China. So yeah, that's on hold. Patrick, poll question answers that most of foreign women from AFA are more simply just looking for their soulmate who will treat them well, while local women know that they are sought after. Okay, I understand. David, John, I'm motivated by the femininity and the elegance of the women. It's simply not here in the U.S. David, there is something to say about that. My wife moved here from Russia. And if you've ever been to one of our seminars, one of the stories she likes to tell is about her first experiences when she got here. And again, guys, this is kind of priceless, especially back then. She came here about 23 years ago, because we're celebrating our 22nd year anniversary. And 23 years ago, it's different than it is today. Today, Russian women and women from all around the world know more about the U.S. because of the internet, and they're just more tapped in. Back then, most of her ideas about what Americans were like were from the soap operas, Dallas, and what's that one in Santa Barbara? Okay, she would always talk about that, right? Because that was like, Santa Barbara and Dallas. That was what U.S. was like to a lot of the women over there, which is funny, but that's what they saw on TV. And so when she came here, she had these experiences, and I'm not going to go to all of them. Maybe we'll do a show sometime on some of the experiences that women have that, and some of the experiences I had back then in Russia trying to survive when I lived there for a little while. Excuse me. But one of the things that she noticed was she went to the store, and it was, middle of the day, and she came home and she goes, John, I went to the store, I think she went to a Walmart, and she said, there's women dressed in the store in like curlers and SpongeBob pajamas. If I went out like that in my country, someone who knows my mother would probably see me, call my mother and say that something was wrong with me, that I was on drugs or something. Because in our country, we just wouldn't do that. We don't go out in public dressed that way. It's just not the way we're brought up. It's not the culture. It's not how it works. And if you go to the Ukraine or you go to Russia and you see how the women are dressed, even in the supermarket or just walking and doing something, I've never seen what I would see in some of the places I go. And again, same with the men. I mean, the men there actually do tend to dress better than what you will see here as well. It's just more of a European thing, not just Eastern European, but even Western European, but I think even more pronounced in Eastern Europe. You see that. And it's amazing. That's one of the things that the men really notice when they go over there. I mean, they're like looking around and, it's like their necks hurting because they're like, oh my God, everywhere you look, these women are just dressed in makeup and everything. Like, it's amazing. They're not used to it because we in the last 20, 30 years, just the women have not really. Now, if you go back into the 50s, 60s, times like that, it was a little bit different, but it's changed here in our country. Is it good or bad? I don't know. I'm not here to judge. I'm just telling you what it's like. And you'd be the judge of what you like. Some men maybe like it better the other way. It's just better for them. I don't know. You have to be the judge of that. Okay. Peter says, Peter's skeptical when communicating with ladies from the site. How do I know that I'm receiving a reply from the person I'm communicating with and not some interpreter? Well, it is going through an interpreter, but the woman should be involved in that correspondence as well. And if you ever feel, as the site states, that there is any kind of issue or problem with that, call us and let us know. But one way not to be skeptical about that is to not do it, like I say, and tell everyone that will listen, and just go over and meet them in person. And that way, at least you're sitting right next to them. Now, there still may be an interpreter if she doesn't speak the language at all. And so you still might be skeptical if the interpreter is saying everything that she's saying correctly. Well, you might still have that problem. But at least she's right there in front of you talking. And maybe you can use a Google Translator to see for sure. So to me, and you have every right to be skeptical. And I think you should be skeptical because problems can happen on any site. And that's why I am a huge proponent of just going over and meeting in person, because you're going to have to do that anyway at some point, right? So don't spend a lot of time, effort, money, resources on our site or others doing correspondence or on other sites, because we don't even offer chat, but doing chat. And go over and meet in person. And that way you avoid a lot of those pitfalls. That's one way to do it. And it's so much more fun than just playing on a keyboard. I mean, you get to actually dance with someone or go have a drink or dinner or stuff. I mean, oh my gosh. Right. Vance says, can't wait for the new footage. You and me both, Vance. It's been a long time. This COVID thing, man. Don says, I can't find anybody here in California. I want to go to Colombia, but I'm worried about the restrictions and the COVID issues. It's tough over here. Don, don't worry about that too much. Call and talk to us. It's not that hard. Colombia is one of the easiest places to go to right now with the COVID thing. It's really not that difficult. But talk to us about it. Look, you go over there, if you get COVID, yeah, it's going to be a pain because now you could get stuck there and you can't go back as easily and all that. So that could be a problem, obviously. So, you want to be careful. But on the other hand, how long do you want to wait? I mean, maybe you wait till you get vaccinated, then you go. I don't know. Oh, let's see here. Ross, I'm not going to get to everyone's here, so but I'm trying. I am, guys, but I'm out of time almost just now, and I'm going to get yelled at by everybody. They're never going to let me on this again. And Dina's coming back next week, so what the heck. Ross says, I am looking for women overseas as women in my country are too entitled. Okay. Philip says, I reserved a spot for the Kyiv tornado, but all the girls that have similar interests are from different cities. What should I do? Well, don't go to Kyiv then. I mean, if you're not interested in anybody in Kyiv, that might not be the best tour destination for you, although it is a 2-city tour. It's Kyiv-Kharkov. I did just talk to a gentleman who is going to do the 4-city tour in April. So he's going to go Kyiv, Kharkov, Dnipro, and Zaporozhye. So you could do that, and you can go to all the different cities. Or you can go over and do the tour in Kyiv, Kharkov, and then maybe spend a little bit more time to try to go meet those other women individually. I mean, Ukraine's a fairly large place, and, there's going to be women, from all over in different cities. But I think if you do the tour, you're going to find women that you're interested in just by being there and meeting these different women at the socials and all that good stuff. But call and talk to me, Philip, and we can talk about it more in depth. You can talk to me or Michelle or Ganna, and we could talk more in depth about, what it is that really would be best for you. Okay? And I know we've been really busy with this Valentine's week coming up, or just passed and everything, so it's been a little bit harder to get to us, but we're here. And yeah. Mark says, John, I have been alone for almost 30 years and I decided enough is enough. I'm well prepared for backlash from my family because of their lack of information about women overseas. Mark, it's one of the sad things that I've seen. Really, really sad. I've been doing seminars now for many, many, many years, and I've had grown men come up to me almost in tears, some in tears, talking about how they've waited 30 years or so to do this. Now, we've been doing this for 26 years, so maybe not just with us, but they've been looking at this for 20 years, 25 years, and they didn't do it because of the family telling them that, oh, no, you shouldn't go. Are you crazy? What are you doing? You're going to come back without a kidney? Are you nuts? You shouldn't go over there. Oh, my gosh. People, we've been doing this for 26 years, and I haven't had one guy yet tell me that he's lost one kidney, okay? Not once have I had a guy say that he lost a kidney. Now, we did have this appendix problem, but we don't talk about that. No, I'm just kidding. But it is sad to see men literally, waste part of their life, 20 years of their life, 30 years of their life, like you, Mark, just because they were afraid to go and do something of what someone might think. Screw that. You have one life. You have one life. This isn't a video game. We think that we're going to live forever. You're not going to live forever. You get one life, and that's it. And so it's up to you to do what you want to do. And if you're not going to do something, I don't care what it is, okay? Whether it's this or something else, maybe starting your own business or doing something, and someone tells you, oh, don't do that. You'll fall off the end of the earth because the earth's flat. Don't go do that. Don't do that. Don't do this. If you listen to that kind of crap, you'll never do anything. And at the end of your life, you're going to regret the things way more you didn't do than the ones that you did do. That's that Mark Twain quote that I always talk about. And it's so true. You know, you're going to start looking over your life and you're going to start thinking about all the opportunities you didn't take because you were afraid of this or that or whatever. That's just ridiculous. You know, in 26 years, we've never lost anybody yet who didn't want to be lost, who didn't want to come back on one of these tours. You know, you have this whole big track record of what we've done for the last 26 years, yet people are still skeptical or scared or worried. There's, what, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of testimonials written and video and everything on the site about guys that have gone and done this, yet you're still skeptical and worried. And we still have to do these shows and tell people it's okay, you can go and do this. Don't be that guy. Just go over and do it. Oh my God. All right, hold on. Sorry, guys. Tuk, 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 tuk. So many questions here. I'm not going to get to all these. This is awful. Okay, let's see here. Brian says the women are beautiful inside and out, very family-oriented, not trying to be negative towards the United States, but let's face reality. The women in the U.S. lost their way when it came to being a housewife. They don't cook, they don't clean anything. Some are not very good parents toward their own children. And like you said, both men and women work all the time and less time with the family. This is the last line of defense when it comes to guys like us who want a peaceful household. Do not mean to write this long. Yeah, Brian, I understand what you're saying. I mean, I will say to my dying breath that there are wonderful women here in the U.S. And you can meet wonderful women here, and they have those kind of values that you're looking for. They do. But there are different cultures where they put more of an emphasis on that, and maybe it's easier to find women there that have those kind of values than it is here. Let's see. Dean says, poll question, international women appear to have all the qualities I struggle to find in local women: beauty, kindness, work ethic, intelligence, maturity. Women in other countries all seem to be attracted. Oh, I lost it. Hold on. Attracted to the qualities I have, which don't seem to be on the menu for women where I live. Local women just aren't buying what I'm selling, and I struggle to turn ahead, feeling invisible around women locally, while men like me express being shocked to be treated like a rock star in other countries. Most of all, the structure and services of AFA are unparalleled by the local matchmaking companies I've found. Thank you, AFA. I look forward to going on my first tour. Do men in Ukraine or other countries ever get jealous or hostile toward American men who go to meet, date, and marry women from their countries? No, Dean, I've seen very, very little of that over 26 years. I thought that might be an issue too at first, but a lot of men will bring their sisters or women friends to the service and try to help them find someone, because these men are not finding it difficult to find dates and stuff, because in many of these countries there's more women than men, and I mean it's just not a problem for them. So I've not seen the whole jealous thing here really at all. And you said something in there. Oh, you feel invisible. You know how many times I've heard a man tell me that they feel invisible here when it comes to women? They just feel invisible. They're in a store, they're here, they're there, they just feel totally invisible. Yeah. When I wasn't so invisible, this woman, this was way before I got married. I think I was in my 20s probably, and I was at the bank, and I'm in line, and this woman was there, and I thought maybe she liked me a little bit, and somehow I said something like, she said, you look like Stephen King or something like that, and I said, yeah, but he's not very good looking. She goes, yeah, I know. She said it just like that, and I'm like, oh, thanks, yeah, okay. Yeah, moved on. Maybe that's why I married a wonderful woman from Russia. I don't know. Matt says, evening, gents. I try to learn something new every week. Well, I'm trying to help, Matt. I don't know if I'm being that helpful tonight or not, but I'm trying. Alan says, I did the individual Asian club tour to Davao before a shutdown. I don't need motivation. I'm ready to go on a Cebu singles tour with the socials, just waiting for things to open up. Fantastic. So you went on the club, now you want to go back to the tours and the socials. Good job, Alan. That's great. Let's see here. For the upcoming April 2021 Ukraine tour, does a 17-day tour begin in Kyiv and end in Kyiv, or Odessa for booking our flights? It will end in Odessa. So when you do a dual tour that are back-to-back, the tour will start with the first city of the first tour and end with the first city of the second tour, right? All right, so that's in that case, it's going to be Odessa. What should we do as far as arrivals and departures here? You can do what's called an open jaw ticket. So you can actually fly into Kyiv and fly out of Odessa, or you could fly into Kyiv and out of Kiev and just get yourself a one-way ticket from Odessa to Kiev like the night before, so you can catch that international flight. And it's really not that expensive. It's like, $80. Alexis, are all the tours still happening in Colombia for the rest of the year? As this show is going on right now, they are. Things can change, so you always have to check. But right now, we expect them to go on. Medellin might be a little bit different because we did have to cancel the Medellin one a few weeks ago because they made it more difficult. We were able to do Barranquilla and Cartagena, but not Medellin because of the mayor there, so we'll see. But hopefully, yeah. Ernie says, I'm with a lot of those. Looking forward to meeting you, John, and getting involved with AFA on a level conducive to my needs and relationship desires. Fantastic, Ernie. And we're here to help you. Bill says, I am a grandson of the Transcarpathia, Ukraine. My father's parents immigrated to America from villages just outside of Uzhgorod. Oh, cool, Bill. I may be not pronouncing that correctly, but that's wonderful. I'm still learning English, as you can tell. I watch every week, and I'm learning a lot. Fantastic. I'd rather have one date than 100 emailed letters, etc. Ernie, I love you. I love you, because I totally agree with that. I'd rather that you have one date than 100 emails as well. I think that's fantastic. Ryan, let's see, skip the Ukraine women and go straight for the Siberian women, most adaptable to our current weather. Not in Phoenix. We're okay here. That's probably why Tanya married me, to get out of the cold. I think that's it. I think that's, yeah. Let's see. Chris says something watching now. Lots of shadow people watching. Soak up this advice. Well, that's good. We should soak up the advice. I'm trying. Ernie, kudos to John for his great advice. I have had over 300 letters I've not answered today because I'd rather meet them in person and spend money on them there. Yeah, that's great. Save your resources and do that. I love it. Let's see. APW says how this works. Do you have a website with a catalog women from different nationalities and you sign up for a specific plan program? So what's the cost? APW, that's just way too much to go into right now. But if you email me or just afa@lovememail.com, that's afa@lovememail.com, or group tours@lovememail.com, group desk @lovememail.com, or call in tomorrow. We could answer all those questions for you and get you going. But there's lots of different vehicles, lots of different plans, lots of different ways to get you over there in front of the women, meeting them and making this happen, and extremely inexpensive. There's no other service on this planet that gives you a better value for international dating than we do. It's just not out there. When it comes to meeting the women in person, there's nothing out there. So call me and we'll be more than happy to talk. Or call in and you'll talk with someone. Patrick says, hi, John. Love the show. From the recent tours, do ladies feel comfortable meeting men, or do some ladies have concerns about COVID? And the poll question answer is the opportunity to meet beautiful, intelligent, educated international women far exceeds the limited opportunities in my local area, which probably do, especially because we did all the work for you. So when you get there, you get to meet them all very quickly. And yeah, it's just a lot easier. Some of the women are fine with it, and some of the women are still a little bit worried about COVID. So we've had some women that did not want to meet because of COVID, but not many. Most are okay with it still. Alexis, how often does the search engine get updated? I think they just updated that search engine here recently. I can't tell you how often, but not that often because it's pretty basic, but they do try to get to it. We're doing a lot on the site. I think over the next year to a year and a half, you're going to see a lot of different changes on the site because we're really trying to change a lot of things and make it even better for you guys. Yeah, Jason, on the March Peru tour, I know that 14-day quarantine, we're hoping that's going to get lifted here soon. So we're hoping that March tour is still going to go, but we're going to have to come up with an answer on that real quick here. You'll probably see something next week on the site, so pay attention to that. Chet says, even if you just learn to greet her, introduce yourself in her language when you visit, you will really stand out. Oh my gosh, Chet, that's so true. You know, when I'm at the socials in, say, Ukraine, I'll go up to the women and I'll say, I'll just sit down, right? and I got my suit on and my tie. I look kind of formal and the boss. And I'll look at the women at the table. I'll say, "Privet, cocktail." And they'll look at me like I just came from Mars. And they'll start laughing because that kind of greeting is a very informal, familiar greeting that you would do with a friend or something like that. You know, "Privet, cocktail." Hey, how you doing? What's up? That's kind of what that is. Instead of "Doble vicher," which is a more formal, proper greeting. Well, I just like to do that because it's just fun, and I break the ice with it, and they laugh, and then I laugh, and, you know, yeah. So you're right. If you just learn a little bit like that, you know, it makes a difference. It really does. Oh, my gosh. Would you run down the quick perks of a platinum membership and putting down a deposit on a future trip? And it was 86 in beautiful South Florida today. My motivation is ladies who have old school values. Keep up the great work. Chuck in Tampa. Oh, yeah. Hey, congratulations on the football. I'm not going to go into, but I'm glad that you're happy there in Tampa, and it's great. Platinum membership. Wonderful thing if you're going to do letters, because it does, with correspondence, give you discounts, not just on correspondence, but it also gives you discounts on Skype calls and regular translated calls, and you get to look at the videos on the profile videos. You get to look at those for free. So those are the perks for a platinum membership pretty much. But the other beautiful thing about the platinum membership is that everything you spend on a platinum membership is refunded to you and goes towards a group tour. So if you do a group tour, whatever you spent on a platinum membership will be credited towards the price of that tour. I mean, who does that? So the whole platinum membership is free for you, which is nice if you go on the tour. And why do we do that? Well, gee, let's think. Oh, yeah, because we're trying to get you to go on the tour. And we want you to meet these women in person. And by doing that, we feel that that might motivate you a little bit to do that, because we're helping you not only by arranging everything, but by giving you a financial incentive to do that. So yeah, and if you put down that deposit of the $475, you get the free platinum membership with that. So you don't have to pay for it up front. You just get it free thrown in. Okay. So do it, Chuck. Put down the $475 deposit. You'll be fine. Mark says, "John, I've done a fair share of dating in this country. I've not found a woman who is loyal and wanting to share her culture with me and maybe start a family with me." Yeah, well, that's why this should work for you, I hope. Ryan says, "It's never cold in Colombia. Eternal spring in Medellin, that's for sure." Not even spring when you go to Cartagena or Barranquilla. It's hot most of the time, but a lot of guys like that. Ducati says, "Elephant in the room here. Do you commonly see people who can converse with women online before they head to the Ukraine successful?" I always tell guys that about half the guys that go over, well, no, I say that about the list. About half the guys will have a list, and half the guys won't. They're all about the same success. I would say it's probably pretty true with going over corresponding or not corresponding. What happens a lot of times is guys who correspond and go over, and then they end up marrying someone they never corresponded with, and they meet her at a social, or they go out on more dates because the one they were corresponding with didn't really work out, and then they go out. You know, or I mean, look, there's been plenty of guys that have corresponded and then have gotten married. One off the top of my head, I mean, he was writing to 3 different women in the Philippines. He was corresponding with all 3, met 2, and they were okay, but he didn't feel the connection. The 3rd one, boom, married, you know, and they got engaged like that day. So they were able to speed up the process a lot more because the correspondence in that case did help. I'm not saying correspondence is like the most terrible thing in the world, but it can and does help. We have another gentleman that just called in, and he met his wife in China. And there's a picture of it here, a video here, I think, and he just wanted to come and meet us and do this testimonial. And he was writing to her for quite some time, went over, met her, stayed in China quite some time with her, got married in China, met his family, her family and everything, and they're still together here. They're just about an hour and a half north of us here in Phoenix. Great couple. So yeah. Also, do you find it an issue for younger men that like older women? A little bit. I do, actually, because a lot of the women on our site believe that men their age are not mature enough. So if you like older women, you're going to have to prove to her that you're mature enough to deal with it. Let's see. I'm not going to be able to read all of your guys' responses here, unfortunately. Hold on here. Oh, hold on. Hi, John. I'm going to go to Bradford. That sounds interesting here. I always hear the sales pitch coming from you in favor of social events sponsored by the AFA. That's great. Although, what are some of the negatives when getting into dating and marriage with a Russian, Ukrainian woman? With a Russian. Well, I married a Russian, I'll tell you that. Russian women, according to several of my Russian friends here in the U.S., have indicated that they are very, very smart and cunning. They are cautioning me that I'm entering the extreme danger zone. Am I the hunter or the prey? Oh, you're the prey, buddy. You're going out with a Russian woman, any woman, pretty much. I'm just having fun with this. Look, you shouldn't be the hunted or the prey. Again, they should be reciprocal, and you should have that wonderful relationship. Your Russian friends are saying that they're very smart, cunning. My wife is extremely smart, and I love that about her. She's helped me in business decisions for the last 22 years. I would never be where I am without her. I love the fact about her. And cunning, well, you come from Russia, you come from the Ukraine, you come from Eastern Europe. It is a little bit different. The culture is different, and the way you think about things, the way you think about business is different. I'll tell you one quick story about Tanya, which I think is hilarious. She tells this all the time when she's at the seminars and stuff, but she got here and she went to Home Depot because she wanted to paint some of the house, right? And so she's talking to the guy at Home Depot, and the guy said, hey, here's a gallon of paint. She had it mixed to the colors she wanted. Back then they did this. They don't do it anymore, probably because of Russians. I don't know. But she came back and she said, John, they told me that if I don't like the way this looks and I have more than half left, I could bring it back for a full refund. So now what we could do is we could go repaint the whole house. We'll buy like 20 gallons and we'll use 9 and we'll bring it all back. We'll get a refund for free. I love this country. And then she went to Trader Joe's and she found out that their policy was, oh, here, try this bottle of wine. If you don't like it, just bring back the empty bottle and we'll refund you. And she came back with her eyes still wide open because they don't do this in Russia. That just does not happen in Russia. And she's like, John, we could buy the wine and we could drink it, say we didn't like it, and get a full refund. I love this country. That's one thing she really liked about the United States was the customer service, because 25 years ago, and still today to a certain point, they just don't have the same concept of customer service that we do here. And so it took her a while to get used to it. But at first she was like, wow, look, all I can tell you is that Russian, Ukrainian, Eastern women are absolutely amazing, beautiful, smart, educated. And if that scares you, then don't go. But it didn't scare me, and you shouldn't let it scare you. It's beautiful, it's wonderful, but you have to find the right one. You need to find the right one. You need to keep your eyes open, and it's got to be that reciprocal. But that's the case in any dating, anywhere, not just from Russia. All right. That was a great question, though, Bradford. I had a lot of fun with that one. We are just about out. Sly says, love this John Adams, legendary, 30 years in the business, going over 15 minutes because of his passion. Well, thank you, Sly. It's getting way late. They're going to kill me. You don't understand how much trouble I get in. People think I joke now. They're going to really get mad at me. They have families to go home to and stuff, and I could talk for hours more. That's why when I do the seminars, I love it. I drink like 5 gallons of Mountain Dew, and I go out there and I have you guys to talk with, and we have this energy exchange, and it's just amazing. Tanya, by the end of it, she's just like sleeping in the car for driving like to another city. Sometimes we do like Dallas and Houston, and we'll go to Houston and have to drive to Dallas after the Houston seminar. And she's just like passed out because she puts a lot out there too, and then she's just like drained, like she's got nothing left. But to me, it's just a little bit of that afterwards. But during it, oh my gosh, the energy, the passion that I feel about what we do 26 years later doing it, it's still there because it's just there. It's real. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Nothing is perfect. And for the people that try to nitpick of every little thing, well, what about this? Well, of course, you're never going to have anything that's going to be perfect. I don't know of any site out there that does anything that's perfect all the time. We try to do the best we can. And if you use the site, I will tell you that they will do the best they can for you. And if you ever have any issues or problems, just talk to us. Tell us, and we will try to make it right and to try to make you feel as comfortable as possible while doing it. So you will be one of the guys that go over and actually give yourself that opportunity to meeting someone. I'd hate for you to have some stupid little bad experience on the site before you even get a chance to go over and then never even go over. That's crazy. So just try to understand what this is really about, what it really is about, and then go over in that mindset, and you will have an amazing, amazing time. All right, I got to go before they just bit that big. You know, the old days, they take the cane and they grab the guy off. They're going to do that to me. You should do that, Kirk. You guys should get one of those cane things. You just take me by the neck. And that's it, guys. All right, I'm leaving now. Guys, this has been amazing. Again, I say this every week, but I'm so humbled that I get to be lucky enough to come in front of you guys and talk about this stuff. And, you know, hopefully somebody will get a little bit of advice or use a little bit of it. Hopefully, and it works. If so, let me know sometime. Sometimes guys do that. Even 20 years later, hey, John, you talked about doing this. I did that, and it worked. And that's great. Usually that didn't work at all. What were you talking about? But sometimes it does work. All right, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful evening and a great, safe week. And Wednesday night, we got another great show. I think it's a Latin show. And then we'll see you next week. I think Dina will be here. So, yeah. All right. Till then, bye-bye.
Привет, guys! My name is Victoria and I'm Kiev office manager, and we're sitting in a cozy place. The name of it is Rucola. It's a cafe in a walking distance from our Kiev office where you can date your lady. And today we have a